Hello everyone, it is Wizaldo or Wesley, and today I'm playing one of the most fun decks I have ever played. Right now it feels amazing, in Purple Yellow Rosinante. Now if you don't know me, I'm a huge Purple Yellow fan, and Rosinante is one of my favorite characters, so this deck being good is a huge relief to me because I spent so much money on it on release, and it is paying off now. So if you don't know, what made Purple Yellow Rosinante really good was this Rosinante Law, just because it is a tempo neutral play that you can play for 4 Don, so a 4-cost 8k blocker is amazing, and this Promo Law, which is a really nice play as well, pretty much for the same reasons, except you do not get the card in hand after playing it. But yeah, here's the deck I've been running. I did go 4-0 on it the other night. I will call out the flex spots just because I know some people do not like one of the cards in this. But yeah, that's the intro. If you want to just copy the deck here and you like the deck, please give me a like and maybe consider subscribing if you're going to keep coming to my lists. If not, I will be hopping into the deck list now and kind of explaining as I go what each card does. So this Rosinante, if you don't know, instead of letting your characters who are named Trafalgar Law be KO'd, you can add the top card of your life to your hand. It's really strong for the same reason that the new Skypiea Luffy is strong. And then it also has an activate main on top of that to let you return a Don and discount the next Trafalgar Law that you would play with a cost of 4 or more by 2. So it lets you play out these laws for 2 rather than playing them out for the full 4. If you're going second, these can be a 2-cost play on top of a 7k swing from your leader. Really strong combo. But that's kind of just the whole gist of the deck. You are just playing out a ton of Rosinante and laws, a ton of law characters, and just kicking butt. Now I know what you're thinking, why are you the burnt penis? So next up in the list is this 1-cost law. It lets you search for a 2-cost or greater Straw Hat Crew or Heart Pirate type, but lets you search for Usohachi and then just any of your Trafalgar Laws. A really good way to search your deck, and it doesn't send too much stuff to the bottom. Just because it is searching 4, it's really hard to whiff on this. You basically just need to see all like 1-costs in order to whiff. You're also going to play the Sugar, which lets you search for your Vergos, your Rosinantes, your I Love Yous, and your Rosinante and Laws. It's a really good card and a great tech. One of the techs that made this deck amazing. Now here is the tech card. It is this law that is a 3-cost, so it's not discountable. And when attacking, if you're behind in Don, you can search the top 5 cards of your deck for a Heart Pirate. Now, I know a lot of people don't like it because it's a brick and the deck doesn't run any 0-cost events anymore, and it's really hard to get online, but in the event that you do not see one of this 4-cost laws in your opening hand, this is what you're going to need to play because you do not want to fall behind early. So you could cut this for something like a slow beam, maybe a 0-cost event. I think with the new EB03 Trafalgar Law, it's not really necessary to play the 0-cost because your hand fixing does come in the form of just pitching your bricks. But after that law, you're going to run the Usohachi. It's going to be a great way to end the game. If you have 8 or more Don on play, it can rest one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 5 or less, your opponent's blockers typically, and it is a 2k counter, which is searchable off of this law, like I said. Next up in the list is this blocker law. Like I mentioned before, it's one of the things that made this deck really good, just because it gives you an early play that is actually impactful for the game on future turns after you've played it. If you're going to play out a blocker and your opponent doesn't have that many swings, you can always attach 1 Don to it for your leader ability and swing a 7 at your opponent. Really high value play. Next up is this 4-cost law that's really good for curving your opponent's hand down. So on play, if your opponent has 7 or more cards in their hand, you're going to be able to trash 2 cards from their hand. Really strong play if you're playing into something like a Mihawk or Boa. But other than that, it's kind of like a discount pudding, I guess. Also a solid body to swing with just because it is a blocker, a 5k blocker, not really the most impactful blocker in this deck. You're also going to run Vergo because Vergo protects some of the most important bodies in this deck, and that is going to be Rosinante and Law. I'm going to kind of skip past Vergo, but just know it lets you swing into things a little more easily, and it protects this Rosinante and Law. Rosinante and Law has the Don Quixote Pirates type, which is really important because it is getting protected by this Vergo, which means it's harder to remove, and because you can take a life card to your hand to protect it from being KO'd, this adds on another layer of protection for them. This is the biggest blocker in the deck and one of the most important cards because it does come out on your turn 2 or 3, depending on how you're playing. Typically your turn 3. Unless you find a way to ramp, it's going to be turn 3, but it comes out at a very discounted price and it lets you ramp Don back, and it's just a huge body, amazing play. So protecting these and leaving them up is going to be the move typically. After that is the 7-cost law, which lets you ramp a rested Don, or ramp an active Don, and then give everything typically on the board plus 1k power, including your leader. So you go up to a 6k leader for the turn, ramp an active Don to use with I Love You, and then just play safe or play really aggressive depending on where the game state is at. It's a really versatile card. Rounding out the searchers is this 1-cost Rosinante that searches for Trafalgar Laws. Really solid card just to get that 1 Don to return for your leader effect, and it searches out pretty much everything in the deck. You're also going to run Baby 5 because Baby 5 searches off of Pudding. It's a really good way to just kind of evenly distribute the 2Ks in the deck. It also draws 2 cards because you are a multicolored leader. Other than that, not too much else. You're going to run this 4-cost 5k Trafalgar Law 2k. The trigger does not matter because it is not activatable with your leader type, but it can be grabbed off of I Love You, which is really important because I Love Yous essentially become 4k counter events when one of these is in your trash, which is really strong because it means you pay 1 card and a Don for 4k counter, similar to kind of how Vivi's event work. It also lets you just like 2k, and it rounds out the 2ks for the deck at 10. The newest card and most powerful card I'd say that pushes this deck into S tier is this Trafalgar Law. It lets you rush after you play it for 6 typically because of leader ability, and then you can, after you attack, typically trash it and trash a character from your hand, or typically a brick from your hand, and then heal a life and play out a 7-cost or less from your hand, which is typically going to be this law or your Rosinante law. It can be this promo law, but typically it will be one of these two just because they're going to be the most strongest and impactful. So if you're going for game or going to play really aggressive, this law is typically your first play. Then you play out a 7-cost law that ramps you an active Don and gives everything plus 1k power, and then you kind of swing out after that. If you're going to play more defensive, you're going to just play this Rosinante law, leave it active, play with your resources, go from there. Gamma Knife is a card to deal with green. Right now, green is really prevalent in the meta, and giving a character minus 5k power is a great way to kind of deal with it. It also lets you fall kind of behind to use this law, which makes it much easier to search. So typically, if you are looking to search with this law, if you don't have a Virgo or one of these laws, you will use this Gamma Knife to fall 1 Don behind, which puts you equal to your opponent. And then with the other Don that is rested, you'll use your leader effect. Swing with this law to search out another Trafalgar Law if you don't have one, and then you can play that law at a discounted price because you have used your leader ability already. Really strong combo in this deck. Then to finish out the deck list is this I Love You. If you have 2 or less life cards, you can add a law from your trash to your hand, and then it's also a 2k counter. Really strong card in my opinion. That rounds out the deck list. So if you do like it, please let me know by giving the video a like, maybe commenting what you think. Maybe if you have any other ideas other than the slow beam or the bullet string to replace this law with, let me know in the comments as well. I don't really like one-ofs, which is why I have this in here instead of the slow beams. But yeah, if you like the list, please consider subscribing as well. I'm gonna play on ranked a little bit just because I think this is a great ranked deck. I think it is one of the best decks in the meta right now. So on to that now. All right, we're playing into a Sanji. That means the Virgo is gonna be super important for this matchup. So honestly, if I see one in my opening hand, it's probably worth hanging on to. I think this is a pretty great opening hand. I'm going second, so I can double search. So I will say, if I search over a Virgo, I'm going to be in a really rough spot. So I'm not going to try and search too aggressively. I'm going to start with this and grab a Usohachi. I think I could use the counter, and then I'm going to play a Rosinante. Unfortunately, a Virgo was at the top of our deck, so we're going to need to rely on getting that other one, or just play around at playing really aggressive into my opponent, getting these free blocks and stuff off of the blockers as I curve them out. I am going to take this first hit. Pretty heavy bricks in hand. I do see a Gamma Knife, which is going to be really helpful for clearing my opponent's board. I'll start with a 7 into, or actually I'm going to search with this Trafalgar Law. I can search into some more counter. Then I can go 6 at life. I can return a Don, and I'm now equal with my opponent. Deploy this Law and then pass. I get a free block, and then the Sanji is probably going to bump up to a 6 this turn. So I'll just free block the opponent's leader swing, or just like block and counter out. Now I have a little bit more counter in my hand, which is really nice as well. In this matchup, I might want to actually consider not ramping sometimes with this law in order to keep myself below my opponent Don-wise, because then my opponent is going to be ramping back as much with their leader effect. But I'm not sure it matters too much, just because a lot of my power comes from sort of swinging into my opponent really aggressively. All right, they get a blocker in hand and a red rock, although we did see them pitch a red rock off of the Otama. See what they play this turn. Gonna grab another Sanji. Maybe they deploy that Sanji using, yeah, Stealth Whack. All right, I'll take the free block here, and then if they swing a 7 into this law, I can just 2k out. If they swing a 7 at my life, I probably just take it. This coming turn, I probably Gamma Knife to get Don active, but they do not do it. They are at 5, I am at 6. All right, here we'll do something where I just swing a 7 at life, and then I will play out a Rosinante law, gain an active Don, and I got an I Love You. So falling down to 2 here wouldn't suck. I can swing a 6 at life, get some cards out of hand, hopefully. Yeah. Right here, my opponent could pudding me, which would be pretty sucky for me at least. All right, they Reiju, probably bouncing that Rosinante and Law to the bottom of my deck. Why that Virgo is pretty important for this matchup. All right, here I will just 2k out, and if they swing with the Sanjis, I can start to clear them. But they're gonna play another Stealth Black. That's pretty rough. They have 2 Dawn up, so maybe they could attach them to the Sanjis to swing into my board. I will take this first one, no trigger, and then counter out of this one. I am down to 2 though, which is a really nice spot to be at. Okay, we see the Virgo now. Pretty unfortunate time to see it, to be honest. But I think I start with a Gamma Knife, turn it on, and reduce this guy. I can reduce another Dawn to play out a Law. I think that's a plenty good play. It's -4, so swinging in these little Shump bodies is fine here. All right, and then here I will Dawn -1, play out this Law, swing it into this Sanji. I want to really pressure my opponent's hand here just to kind of build up a lead. And then I'm going to trash the Virgo to heal 1. And then I can play out this Law to gain an active Dawn. And then I can swing a 6 into this Sanji. And then I think I'm fine here to swing a 7 at life, just to put more pressure on my opponent's life. I can play really aggressively here just because my opponent doesn't have a ton of a board, and I have a ton of counter in hand as well. I'm a 6k, so these 5k swings are going to have to invest some Dawn into. I am behind in cards in hand, so if they do swing at my board, probably just let them do it. Yep, they can't swing at me unless they attach Dawn, so I kind of get a stall turn. All right, I'm gonna let this go. They're gonna ramp some Dawn back. Hopefully I see a big play. It's not too bad, I don't mind that. I'll start with I'm ahead in Dawn, so just playing this doesn't seem the worst. Just Dawn -1, we're both equal now. I'll deploy this, gain an active Dawn, and buff everything up pretty aggressively. I'm gonna go a 7 at life. All right, they're gonna Gum Giant here. That's really good information for me. They get rid of their own Rosinante and Law, and then I can actually do something fun. I can swing a 5 at life, try and bait out the swing from this Sanji, and then they give me a 2k, and then I'll swing a 9. Maybe I get another Gum Giant. Maybe I get a block here. I'm not gonna swing with this Law here because they could just swing all out at me and maybe go for a game. Might be able to Dawn math it, and I don't want to risk that, especially when I'm pretty comfortable with this I Love You, Trafalgar Law, and Usohachi in hand. All right, they're going to Gum Giant again. Be at 6 Dawn this coming turn. I'm in a pretty good spot. I only have to 2k to get out of these 2 Sanji swings, although they could probably fill up their trash with some more ways to more events to buff these up. But this Reiju and their leader is in a pretty rough spot. We also see him using some of their events, which is going to help me get out of get lethal a little quicker. All right, so they're gonna bounce that Law to my hand, which is fine. Probably should have been a little more conscientious of the Booth Burst, but I'm not in a bad spot yet. All right, I will take this first swing. I'm gonna use this trigger because I do need cards in hand here. All right, I will 1k out, and taking that first swing lets me get get down to 2 so I can use this I Love You, although they do ramp up their leader a little bit more, or ramp up their Sanjis a bit more, which is a little scary. They don't have a ton of cards in hand, so swinging at board at this point seems like a pretty good idea, especially when I can play a Law and a Rosinante and Law. All right, I do need to counter out here, unfortunately. And I think I might want to grab the 2k Law or the blocker Law. I'm not certain. The 2k Law or the rush Law. I think if I'm planning to counter out of this next swing, I take the 2k Law. I'm gonna take the rush Law because it lets me swing into their board a little bit more aggressively. Maybe clear the Reiju. And then I just have to take this. Awesome. Okay, this is pretty good for me. I can play out this Law, develop a blocker, return it on, and then play out this Law, swing a 6 at my opponent's Reiju, either get cards from hand or a body off of board. That's fine by me, that's perfect actually. Then I can trash 1, gain a life, and play out this Rosinante and Law. And granted, I don't get the extra Dawn, but I don't really need it. And I can swing at board and just clear board and kind of develop a lead based off of that. I have a bunch of counter in hand. I have a blocker up. All right, now I swing at this Sanji. Kind of doubt my opponent has counter in hand. They might only have events, so using an event to get out of this is probably not very worth for my opponent. And we've seen two Gum Giants so far, and they're gonna let that go, so I definitely swing into this other Sanji now, and my opponent just has no aggro at this point. I have 2 life and 2 blockers here, so they're probably searching for like a Reiju or like maybe a what's it called, 7-cost event that lets them bottom deck 2 cards. That would put them in a pretty good spot. This is probably a bit of a rough matchup, but I think I'm playing it well enough to where I don't really have to worry about, and they concede. Okay, so basically control of the Sanji's board and prevent them from getting a ton of value. Keep their hands smaller is the way you're gonna want to win this. You gotta play a pretty risky in this, I think, but you saw how it kind of went. Wasn't really easy, but there was a tipping point in the game where I decided to swing at board even though my opponent had a ton of cards in hand. hand, where I kind of built my lead. Anyways, I'm gonna play one more and then go do a little bit of a deck reflection. All right, we're playing into a koala. This should be pretty fine. I just cannot play this 8 cost law. I think it's fine to hang on to, maybe. I mean, I guess I can play it. It's like a free draw, one trash one. I'll keep this hand. I'm going first, so I Rosinante, try and find a turn 1 play, or turn 2 play. I'm gonna just grab this law, and then I pass. It's kind of like I have to play slow, which is rough. I'll play out this law, and then I'll just swing a 5. They play an Ideo. That's interesting. Haven't seen this before in a koala. I think I just take here. All right, we're seeing a lot of expensive cards. Maybe not the greatest thing ever for me. This hack is a little rough to see, but it's just going to end up KOing something I don't really care about. Need to see something to play on a future turn. Really not seeing anything right now. This is rough. All right, and I cannot grab the Rosinante law off of that. That was some pretty rough searches there. I will start with a 5k swing. They might block it with hack and then try and KO my law, which is like use card action. And then I will swing another 5, I think. Just because I'm at 2 now, I can keep the 1 Don up. I have a ton of cards in hand. And what this law is going to end up doing in this matchup is playing out a character, forcing me to take a life because of koala. And I'll give it 2k here. It's like a free swing from my opponent's leader here. My opponent's going to heal, and then they probably just swing into the... yeah. I also have the option of just having my opponent, like, just playing out the law, this law here. I think that's also fine. I think I do need to kind of eat my hand a little bit, though. Something to think about. I will start with a 6k swing. I'm trying to get cards out of my opponent's hand. Give them stuff they're a little incentivized to swing out of, counter out of. And here, yeah, I'm not even gonna play the 7 cost law for aggression. I'm just gonna kind of play it to get a body out on board. My opponent's kind of behind in bodies, and this lets me protect my law by bumping it up by 1, so that I can use the 2k that I have if they swing Dakuma into it flat out. They also have the option, yeah, they can dragon this turn into maybe a Sabo. They don't have a lot of good stuff in trash. All right, they're gonna play the hack. I need to not take any damage here, because if I protect my board at this point, I'm in a pretty rough spot. All right, and then I can use this. I don't have anything in trash I really want to grab, so I'll just... actually, I left the Don up. It's more worth it for me to do this. That way I'm not like denying myself value from leaving the Don open. All right, this would be a pretty good play. I can go 6 at my opponent, play out the Rosinante law, and then buff my board up. Or I can just swing aggressively. I think an aggressive play isn't bad here, but I do have to let go of something because of the hack. So I'm gonna return 1, play out this. That is a character with a cost of 8 or more, which means I do have to take a life, I just realized. I'll start with a swing like this. Try and bait them into using the hack. If they just like make me take the law, I'm fine with that. I'm not going to use the effect. They can clear it now that I've swung with it. Then I will swing a 6, and I'm going to trash it. I'll trash the other law, and then gain a life, and play out a Rosinante law. Gain an active Don, and kind of edit my hand a little bit. I'll do a 7 into life here. Swing 2 big swings, get some counter out of my opponent's hand, or force them down pretty low. And then I'm gonna swing a 9. I think 9 here is better than just an 8, and I don't have the counter event in hand. I put them down to a 0. So they either have to get game here somehow, or I win. They can heal too. They could swing into my board, but I have a lot of counter. They have an Ideo. If I can see an Usohachi, I probably have game here. All right, I'll give them a 2k, take the free block, and then I will 2k here to stay healthy, but I think I'm just gonna take it. All right, I have a Don. If I play this, all right, I think that's the play. I'll play this. Interested Don, not actually. Return 1, play out this. It circumvents the 8 cost or more thing for taking down damage, and then I can just swing out here. Also have the option to swing into the dragon, which will curve my opponent's aggression. They'll only have 3 swings. All right, they're giving me a lot here. All right, I'll swing into the dragon. If they just block here, I swing into it again with the Rosinante law. If they don't block, then I don't. Okay, I don't want to lose out on the defensiveness of having 2 blockers up, so I'm not gonna like trade this Rosinante law here. All right, I'll take the free block. My opponent now has 3 more swings. I have 2 more ways of preventing myself from dying, and then I have to counter out of anything. So if I can counter out of this next swing, I should. All right, I will 2k, 1k to get out of this. And now I'm guaranteed, unless my opponent has some sort of rush card, and I don't think yellow or black has any rush. No way of dying here. They are going to Kuma though to get up another life, but I think I'm in a really good spot to just swing out and go for game. We can see they have 1, 2, 3, and then a terror removal. So that is something I need to think about. I love you out of it to get a, this law isn't going to be bad. It gives me another swing. And if I'm going for game, I'm going for game. All right, I think I do need to just go for game here. I'll start with a 8k swing, try and bait out the hair removal fist. I have to take it. I'll give them another 8. And we do see that hair removal fist, or waxing fist, I guess. So now I need to deal 3 more damage while maintaining, I need to deal 1 damage for the Ideo, 1 damage for the life, and 1 damage to win. So I'll give them another 8. All right, they take it. I'll swing a 9 from the Rosinante Law, maybe. Actually, I'm just gonna swing another 8, see what they give me. All right, and then I can just swing out with my entire Dawn and win the game. All right, yeah, this is ranked, by the way. I don't think Qual is an amazing character right now, but yeah, you can kind of see how the game plays, or the deck plays. Anyways, I'm gonna go do the deck reflection now. All right, here's that deck list one more time. I think it feels really good. I do think maybe switching out these laws would be decent. There are some games where it might be better to just not see it at all. I think Virgo is also something I might want to try and bump up. Being able to protect the Rosinante Law in that Sanji matchup, which is becoming more and more relevant, although until the end of the month it's relevant. That's when block rotation hits and Sanji loses out on a lot of stuff. But yeah, again, let me know what you think of the deck. Let me know what you might change. I really love hearing people's opinions. This is the Burnt Penis Wizaldo here. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one.